Yeah, so I actually started editing resumes. I was 20, so 2010 in college. I was part of the National Society of Black Engineers. So my background is in electrical engineering, and there I was the finance chairperson. So I was on the board, and I was responsible for having people give us money, right? So if they gave us any money to sponsor our chapter, we're a nonprofit organization. They got this resume book full of Black engineers. Our chapter was actually pretty big, about 180 members. So yeah, a lot of people. So I'm putting this together. I'll date myself, as actually I was saving it to like a disc CD-ROM, and I started to look at all of the resumes, and I'm a sophomore at the time. Resumes were trash. I'm looking at people in grad school, upperclassmen, and I thought to myself, like, yo, I cannot send these to companies. They will not want to come back.
Wow.
So I spent that night, between that night and the next night, editing over 100 resumes. I didn't do 180, just 100. And got them all there, sent them back to the people, put them all on this resume book, I was calling it, this digital resume book. And we were good to go. And I heard so many stories like, hey, Marcell, I got the full-time job.
Wow.
I got the internship. I got the co-op. So I'm like, okay, I'm clearly skilled. At least I know what I'm doing. At least this resume is getting, the attention that it needs. Did nothing with the idea. Came in with the name in 2012.
Okay.
So a mentor of mine, Sean Allen, he has Sean's Resume Shop. He started his own business. He's an engineer too, but like completely business minded. He's in real estate right now, like definitely a millionaire. Like he's goals.
Hey,
he's complete goals. So shout out to Sean. So like, hey, you could do it. You did it. I can do it. Right. Exactly.
Right.
So I came up with the name, professionally developed. So that was in 2012. Did nothing with it. So you gonna see that's common, right?
Yeah, it happens.
Like my other business, it's like I be having ideas, but I didn't act. So now I feel like I'm making up for things. And we'll fast forward to 2016. I ran into an old coworker. So he worked with me at GE. He was an intern at the time. Has 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Science in Math and a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. I'm living in Texas. He's living in Texas. He can't find a job. I'm like, what? Okay, so we're in a state where everyone's hiring.
2 degrees?
2 degrees.
Wow.
2 degrees. Everybody's hiring in Texas, right? But you're not, you don't have a job. Like what's going on? Like something isn't adding up. So I was like, I told him to send me his resume. So he was currently a security guard at Walmart. So the most educated security guard.
2 degrees, man. That's crazy.
The most educated security guard at Walmart, Yeah. 2 degrees. So yeah. And he sent it to me. I edited his resume, sent it back to him. He was grateful. He got a job in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Not just the interview, not just like the whole offer to like, yo, you start into like got all through the process. So we went. He took me to dinner to celebrate, like, yo, Marcell, thank you. He's like, I was a little embarrassed to tell you this, but before I went to you, I spent $250 on a resume writer.
Wow.
I got 0 results. You did it for free. I got the job in 2 weeks.
Wow.
2 things happened in that moment. One, hey, I'm like, people are getting over on people.
Yeah.
It's no way I'm spending $250 and I'm not getting any results. Come on now. And then 2, like, clearly this writing resumes, helping people get to their next step is part of my purpose.
Yeah.
So that was like summer of 2016. So October 2016, I formalized the business, threw up the website and everything else, LLC, and then hit the ground running.
Wow, man.
So that's my true origin story of like when I started writing resumes, and like that's that point where I'm like, yo, no, this needs to be a business.
There's so much in there. So I want to go back to college. So you said you had about 180 people in your chapter, right? Yeah. And you said that, you were looking at about 100 resumes, and you said they were all trash. So can you pinpoint or go ahead.
Let me go back, because it was some phenomenal resumes there as well. They weren't all trash, but I tweaked over 100 resumes. There were some that was just like.
That's what I wanted to get at. So you obviously can spot out a resume and say, something's not right here. So what did you see, if you can recall back then, what did you see on some of those resumes that was like, ooh, like we need to change this. We need to stop saying this, or we need to do that, or format it this way. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back. Because I wrote my first resume in high school. So shout out to Diane Grayson. So she was our instructor for the summer. I was part of Marquette's Upper Bound.
Okay.
And they required you to do an internship in high school.
Okay.
So I had an engineering internship in high school. So I got a lot of those fundamentals there. Like she drilled in us, like, no, it needs to be this. This is the language you use. So I already had a foundation. Like I'm 15 with a resume, submit them to my college applications where, you know, most college students don't even have one, right? Their first step in is there. So some of the things that I noticed was, especially in college, like once you're in college, you have your college GPA, we can start to remove the high school stuff. Like you were high school, this, high school. Okay, cool. What have you done in college? So a lot of people were leaving off some of the experiences. I mean, it's people like, you're serving on a board in college. Like, why isn't that on your resume?
Talk about that.
Right. So that was one thing. Two is no one really, quote unquote, teaches you how to be a professional. It's something, it's like you learn as you go.
Right.
And hopefully you have enough people, mentors, educators that's there and you tapping into resources. But another thing I would see is, so I'm in engineering, right? Everyone else, like you might have had jobs. So my first job was Wendy's, right?
Okay.
That's not technical at all. So how do you bring out some of those technical skills there? It's, college is nothing but projects. I don't care what your major is, but you're always doing projects related to it. So even if you're like media or marketing or mass communication, you're doing some marketing plan, you're doing some press release, right? These are all technical things that they do in the industry that we need to see on your resume. So if you had a project where you're like, we had to build a bridge. Okay, did you analyze it? Did you design it? What happened? What was the outcome? So how do you make your resume read more technical? So that was like another big gap that I seen, because we're going to technical companies presenting ourselves as engineers, and you need something more than just your coursework of took this class, took that class. Like, okay, cool. That tells an okay story, but you can tell a better story.
You do.
So those are some of the things that I noticed back then in college. And then just some of the formatting. So, the fancy fonts and all of that, which is hard to read. If you think about, I always tell people to look at their target audience. If I'm going to a traditional Fortune 500 company, they're used to these plain, basic, right? Like they're like, get to the point, tell me stuff. So how do we, make it a no-brainer that way?
So I had two questions. Okay. So one, I'm gonna go back to the last part where you say like Fortune 500 companies, they just want it plain Jane, get to the point. So do you see, let's say for instance, if someone wants to work for an advertising agency or some type of marketing agency, does that formatting change from different industry to industry? You talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
I would say I just delivered a workshop talking about that, because it was a group of graphic design students where honestly your resume can serve as part of your work. So my advice for people, if you're in a more creative industry, have both. So the traditional resume, like it's going to, so I'll get a bit technical, like it's going to get through most of the applicant tracking systems. Okay. So I think the statistic is 75% of resumes are never seen by a human. Instead, they're kicked out by a robot. Wow. So we call this robot or this algorithm the applicant tracking system, or ATS. It's scanning all the words on your resume versus all the words on the job description, and then saying if you're a percent match or not. So if you get that, you're qualified for a job, for a role, but get that automatic, oh, sorry, thank you for applying, but honestly, like nobody drafted that. Like the robot kicked you out. Wow. So it's a thing. So you want to make sure that you're able to have that traditional one, because once you start to put tables, graphics, all this other fancier stuff, sometimes it gets jumbled. And if you have some like good information in like a side of a table, if the applicant tracking system can't read it, they don't see that good information. So yes, I would say, hey, err on the side of having both. But I would say like your resume, like the modern graphic one, complete conversation piece, bring it to the interview. It might make you stand out. So my rule of thumb is, if you want to do that, go ahead and have both, right? Because again, if you, like you said, if corporate, if think about who's going to be at the other side receiving this. Because if it's a startup, like it's probably going directly to them. They're probably not paying for applicant tracking system and everything else. So I mean, have this one, have the other one, or it's a perfect way to follow up too after the interview. Like, hey, I know you have my traditional resume. I wanted to send you another version of it that's a little bit more specific to this role. Great way to follow up. Now you stand out. Now you're in their mind. So I would say have both. But yeah, if you're in any creative field, like make sure you have a portfolio of some sort. Okay. Where you can throw the throw the link there where they can see a lot of your works. They can see a lot of things that you've done as well. So that's another another tip.
Awesome. So you talked about you just threw Wendy's out there, and it made me think like
Wendy's.
So let's say you say you work there as well too.
Yep.
So what is something technical that you can pull out of, let's say, out of the fast food industry? Let's say someone wants to interview for a management position at a fast food restaurant.
Okay. What
is something technical that they can pull out? Like, how do we take what we do and juice it up? And I don't want to say juice it up because it makes it seem like we're fluffing it of what we do, but how do we take some real not soft, but some real hard skills out of, let's say, Wendy's?
Yeah. And it's like every single role is not going to have technical background, like, right. That's understood. Cool. But there are some things that you can pull out. And the best way to do that is to quantify. Okay. So how many customers did you interface? So for me, hey, interface with 100 plus customers daily. So that's something, that's a metric, right? If you can't meet the technical requirements, can you quantify it, like what you're able to do?
That's
so
good.
now if I'm getting a resume, if you work with 100 plus customers, then I know you can work with, if I go put you out there, like you're good, you can handle that, right? And then think about the amount of money that you handle. So depending on some places, like it's hundreds, I mean, it's like thousands of dollars per hour. Or if you're a manager, if you're counting it, you're probably doing nice little 5 figures within a week. So, manage a cash register or manage a budget of, or store that's doing 1.4 mil, whatever it might be. So now it's like, okay, cool. Like, wait, y'all had a decent amount of people. So you're averaging $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 in this register because you making drops. I ain't telling you to count the money, but like you can estimate it per week. What does that look like? So that's something else. Another thing too is if you're training people. So honestly, people want people who could be replicated, who can train, who can influence others. So during my time, I've trained. I was at Wendy's about 2 years because when I came back from college, I would go work there for a little bit. Over like 10 people. So I've been there. I've been working there. Like they tried to promote me to crew leader. I'm like, no, I'm going to college. So
we need you.
Like train 10 plus people on job functions and everything else. So now even if a job that you're applying for is a little bit more technical, I'm thinking all of these soft skills, like, okay, this person is a leader, they can train. Because everybody can't train. Honestly, everybody can't teach, right? True. So you train these many people, you can handle this volume, right? In a fast-paced environment. So there's a lot of soft skills that I'm getting, that I'm understanding based on your resume, based off what you were able to do. Even if you travel to other locations. So, sometimes, hey, I have to go fill in at this location because they're short here. They have to do that. It's like, okay, cool. They can pick up into new environments. They can adapt easily. So it's all of these things that I can learn. So that's how you go. That's how you quantify the Wendy's. And hopefully your next job is a little bit more into what you want to do long term. Or it could be, management, or maybe you want to be regional director, right? So then the next role, you just go, you add on it, kind of keep going. But that's how you pull out like some key things in that role.
Yep. So listen, guys, just because you work at Wendy's, it doesn't mean that you can't pull anything out of that. Make sure that you are actually really taking that job seriously, and then you can use that for your resume. That's great. So I'm going to talk about the power of LinkedIn.
Okay, LinkedIn.
So when I tell folks about LinkedIn, they're like, no, I never heard of it. And I'm like, really? And I had it, but I never used it until maybe the past, last couple of years. I'm like, wow, I've got a lot of, hits from LinkedIn. Yep. And so talk about the power of LinkedIn. When I talk to musicians, I talk to artists, I'm like, you still should be on LinkedIn. Yes, Instagram is great, but LinkedIn is where you're going to meet you can find and connect with the main person at Warner Music. Like they have a LinkedIn page. Yeah. So talk about the power of LinkedIn.
Yeah. LinkedIn, that was actually the first blog I wrote for professionally developed link. It's the app young professionals are underutilizing, right? So LinkedIn is super powerful. Fun fact, like LinkedIn is the oldest social media.
Really?
So in the sense that it was out before Facebook.
Okay.
Before Instagram, before Snap, right? It was LinkedIn, right? Now, if you go look at Facebook and all these other ones, like you wouldn't tell because LinkedIn's a little bit, but they got a little bit of a different mission. So it's a little bit more. It's like the professional networking site. But yeah, LinkedIn is super powerful. I believe it says like 68% of the decision makers are there. So more than likely, if you're going for a contract with a company, or if you're going for just bigger clients, more than likely they're looking at your LinkedIn. From a recruiter standpoint, I believe the statistic was 89% of recruiters use LinkedIn to go vet out candidates. I was listening to another podcast. He worked for a staffing agency. They literally said, yo, if this person does not have a LinkedIn URL on their resume, or if they don't have a LinkedIn profile, you cannot even call them back for an interview.
Wow.
Like, it's gotten to that point where people are they're trusting LinkedIn a bit more, and they're researching you there. So from a job seeker perspective, it's amazing. I was at a conference at Manpower in 2017. It was the Fellas Conference. Somebody said something blew my mind. She said, hey, when you're going to apply on job boards like Indeed, Monster, on Milwaukee, right? You're being active. You're putting yourself out there. You're applying to everything. She's like, the reverse happens on LinkedIn. Recruiters are actively searching for you. Like, recruiters are on there looking for project managers, looking for social media, right? So if you go, you turn on your open to work, go ahead. Like, people are going to go work for you. People are going to go look for you to come work for them, to go partner, to do everything else. I've gotten clients from LinkedIn, right? I've also gotten speaking engagements from LinkedIn. People would, hey, Marcell, I see what you're doing. Can you come talk to my students? This is my budget. Hey, Marcell, I see what you're doing. I need to hire you for my resume. I'm not getting those same leads on IG and Facebook. Not to say don't post. LinkedIn is not going to replace like your social media, right? Your other social media channels. But the chances of you being able to like find a business partner or finding your next client or your next, engagement more than likely would come from LinkedIn. So something you need to be on. And since it's not as active, like it's, IG is like, oh, now do 7-second reels. Now do this. Like, LinkedIn algorithm not that complex. Just post once a week. Like get your profile to all-star status, which means you have at least 500 connections. So like, and it should be simple. Go ahead, get 500 connections and make sure like your education, your work history, all of that stuff is filled out. Then start posting. Like, you're going to rise to the top because, like I said, LinkedIn is being underutilized at the moment. So yeah, like it's definitely easier reach. Definitely.
Yeah, and when you say that, because I was trying to figure out the algorithm, I'm like, do you need to post as much on LinkedIn? Like, what do you need to do? And someone's like, no, just post maybe once, or like you said, once, twice a week at the max. You don't want to overdo it, and you're golden. You're good to go. So as far as the resume goes on LinkedIn, so you have your bio, you have your what do you do, or about you section. Now, do those same rules apply as far as a resume on LinkedIn, or how does that work? So, like, I think I may have something from like 2015 when I was like, working for the Art of Shaving at Mayfair. I'm like, I think I need to get rid of that.
I get what you're asking. It's up to you. LinkedIn is also part of your brand. So I got a LinkedIn profile in 2011. So I'm in college. Shout out to the National Society of Black Engineers. Like, our chapter got us together professionally. What happened was the person said you all should be on LinkedIn. If you Google your name, you have a LinkedIn profile, it comes up first before everything else. Still to this day, even when I'm doing my workshops, I'm Googling Marcell Jackson, LinkedIn pops up, right? So they got some sauce where now when people Google you and they research you, that's the first thing they see above everything else, right? Which is amazing. So I started it like 2011. I was similar, didn't do much. I'll say LinkedIn can definitely be like your timestamp for all of your events, all of your work history, and you decide what you want. So Wendy's isn't on there, right? But I was a supplemental instructor at Marquette Upper Bound, so I went back to Upper Bound to go be a tutor counselor. So that's still on there, right? And that's like 09 when I did that. Like, came back to Milwaukee for that. So it's up to you what you want to keep on there, but it's perfectly fine. The rule of thumb for resumes is keep it to the last like 10 years. So once you and keep it super, like your resume should be super targeted, super specific to whatever role you're trying to get. Gotcha. LinkedIn is like, it's a timestamp, so you're fine.
Okay. And folks that like for me, LinkedIn is the only social media platform where I have the full version. Like, I pay for it, I think it's called LinkedIn Premium, where you get the extra tools and you get a chance if you are applying for a job. You'll be able to see the salary. You'll be able to see who works there, all different companies that are represented in this particular job. It's amazing. On top of that, too, they have LinkedIn Learning, which is huge. After you get done taking a course, say, for instance, you want to learn about Web3, you can take that course and you'll get a certificate. You can throw that on your bio in LinkedIn. People will say, oh, wow, they're still learning.
Come on.
And you're good to go. I actually got in trouble doing that at my old job. They was like, wait a minute, are you learning on company time? I'm like, yeah. But no, but it is
y'all not
really.
paying me to learn?
Right.
Wait, y'all don't want me to be better for y'all?
That's why I left.
Hey,
shout out to y'all, but hey, it is what it is. Like, you can learn, and like, you don't have to actually watch videos. You can actually turn on the audio. We talked about audio books earlier. That's another great thing. You can listen to the expert that's on there, and it's good to go. They have quizzes on there as well too, so they know what you're doing. You can take tests. And yeah, so LinkedIn is a great tool. I'm glad you talked on that. So let's talk about real quick content. Like, so how do you market Career Coach Sale? Like, how do you do that, and how can people reach out to you, and what is the process when they have that meeting with you? Like, what are the steps?
Yeah, honestly, I've been a little spoiled when it comes to that. And I think maybe because I was doing it so long, a lot of my clients refer other clients to me.
Word of mouth is awesome.
So especially, again, I'm doing this on top of my day job and all of this other stuff. So it was, it was perfectly fine. It's, hey, I know some woman, she reached out. She's like, yep, okay, you got me together. Get my boyfriend together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. Another one of my peers like, hey, Marcell, I edit resumes. I do this, but I don't have the time. Do it. Cool. Somebody else. Hey, Marcell, this person reached out to me. I don't do this no more. I don't edit resumes for people. Can you do it? So it's been a lot of referrals. I think the biggest one is Ben. Shout out to Ben. We went to A&T together, Aggie Pride. He was like, okay, cool. He sent me his resume. He like got a job and everything else. Ben has an amazing story. We'll talk about that later. Sent me to his cousin. Then to his other cousins. So it's like 5 family members just off this one person.
Wow.
So
the whole family together.
Exactly. So what I try to market, it's not about me. I just want to market the client and their results. So again, leading with the values. So what I do is I help individuals land more job interviews without getting ghosted by recruiters. That's what I do. And on average, my clients see a $20K increase in their salary after working with me. So I'm polling the people. Hey, how long did it take you to get a job? Did you see it? I'm not in your business. Don't tell me how much you make.
Right.
If you were at, and I just give them an example. Hey, if you're at 40 and now you're at 60, just tell me you got a 20K increase. Like, right? Make it very simple. So the lowest has been 5. The highest has been 91. Yeah, he ate off that resume.
Ooh,
like literally. I'm like 91K. That's Ben. Like shout out to him. Like he hit the ground running. Because I like to always educate while I'm doing this, the educator in me. But yeah, typically the process is I am happy to do a free resume review for anybody. Again, I was doing them for free, edited them for free for the first 6 years. So I'm like, I did my time, but I also want to make sure that I'm leaving people with more advice and leave people better than what you found. Right.
Gotcha.
So I am fine because again, it doesn't take much. So the average recruiter spends 7.8 seconds on a resume.
Wow. Which
is very quick. Like they did some eye tracking software and they averaged 7.8 seconds. So they know instantly what's going. So it doesn't take me long to tell you the things that you need to fix, tweak, or whatever to better position yourself. So if anybody wants that, and I always start with a free resume review, like let me tell you all the things that I plan on doing. And then you decide if you want the services or not. So my email is info@professionallydeveloped.com. So we start with a resume review, and people say, yes, I want to go forward with it, or no. Someone's like, hey, if I can't afford it right now, can I just send it back? Yeah, go make all the changes. Send it back to me, like as much as possible. And I had somebody actually land a new job off of doing that.
Oh, wow.
She would just send me back. I'm like, do this. Like my fee comes in once I got to do the work. Cool. So after that, because I like to meet with all my clients one-on-one, it's send me your resume, then send me the link, the URL to 1 or 2 jobs that you're interested in. So we talked about tailoring the resume. We talked about beating the applicant tracking system, and that goes with mirroring whatever language they have in the job description on your resume. So I explain it like a dating profile, dating app. So I'm not on any dating apps. I'm married. But if people are telling you, hey, I like walks, I like basketball, I like this, I like that, like they're giving you the blueprint to what they like. So if you pull up at their inbox, talk about something they like, right? Like
I play football. I do
that makes
right.
that makes the most sense. Like don't come talking like oh, I hate basketball. I hate, like, you ain't even read my profile.
Right.
So that's how jobs feel when you go and you just submit this generic resume. It's like, you didn't even take the time. So the average is, clearly I like researching, right? So for every one job posting, like corporate job posting, there's 250 resumes.
Oof.
250 is one position.
Wow.
Right? So if I'm a recruiter, like, if somebody else, like dating profile, if you pulling up with your job application and you telling me this X, Y, Z, all the stuff I just listed, I'm talking to you, right? If you got this generic resume, like, you ain't even read the job description, like, you don't even know what this position is. Like, right, nah, I'm not even, like, let's go in this decline pile very quickly. So it's the same there. So what you want to do is make sure that any of the preferred or desired characteristics, job responsibility, any language that they're using, if it applies to you, we want to grab those words and put them on there. So it'll help two ways. One, it'll help with the applicant tracking system to make sure that your percent match and it don't get kicked out like the 75% by the robot. But then two, if the hiring manager or somebody else is getting it, they're seeing like, oh, this job requires, let's say you got to know Microsoft Office. Oh, this person got a certificate in Microsoft Office. Boom, let me go. Right, blah, blah, blah. Like, cool. Oh, let's make it a no-brainer. So let's get you past the robot. Let's make it a no-brainer for the recruiter so they want to call back, right? So I need your resume. I need a job description. Then I create a draft. After I create the draft, I like to meet with my clients each one-on-one. It takes no longer than 45 minutes. And we talk about, like, tell me about your job history. So I'm there, I'm taking notes, and they're talking. Again, we're trying to pull out all the numbers, like how many people, how big of a budget, how many students. Tell me the numbers, right? Because numbers will tell a better story overall, right? So I'm going, I take notes in orange because I feel like red is bad. So I'll just go, put it in orange, keep going. What I realized during that is because, like, that also serves more so like a coaching session too, because I'm forcing people to tell me about what you did, tell me about your accomplishments and everything. It's kind of like interview prep without really doing it. It's just kind of built into the process because a lot of people are like, yo, I didn't think about it. I didn't think. Now, like, it's a confidence builder. Like, now they're like, hey, That's like my sister, she paid, like, shout out to family that paid, like, she paid me to do her resume. She said, yo, brother, they told me they can't afford me after this resume. I'm like, you
really?
Playing.
Wow.
I mean, she got the job, but she was just saying, she was like, yo, I don't even recognize this person on paper. Like, because we be so focused doing the work, we forget to document.
Yep.
And especially, like, so, okay, Black people culturally, like, this is just all my personal experience. Like, we're doing the work. We're doing our job. We're supposed to do it. Like, okay, that's what we're supposed to do. I'm supposed to, if I'm teaching, I'm supposed to pull up and teach the students. I'm supposed to. So we think we're doing our job. We don't have to be like, no, it's power in that story. So let's tell it and let's talk about how well you're doing that job, right? So we go, we do that, we edit it. I wordsmithed it, get it all together. I use like a job tracking software as well to tell me the percent match. So jobscan.co, it's completely free. They give like 5 free scans. I got the paid version.
Before.
So I go, I do that. So I'm basically doing all of the work for you. But during the session also, I'm telling them things that I'm changing and tweaking. So I'm getting them the right format and everything else. I'm telling them why I'm tweaking things. I'm showing them the job description, like why it makes sense to mirror and everything. Like, so we're going through all of that, like within that 45-minute session. I send the second draft over to them. Once they go and approve it, boom, they get their resume. Cover letters, depending on which package you get, are optional. And some clients come back and say, hey, Marcell, this was amazing. Come do my LinkedIn. Okay, cool. Got you.
Oh, yeah, you do LinkedIn profiles as well. Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So average about 3 to 5 business days. Just depends, because if I'm meeting with clients, we have to make sure that we have the time to meet and everything else. But 3 to 5 business days, because I try to also understand jobs disappear quickly. So I just want to make sure, like, you're there, you're like you're in a position to go do it. Sometimes clients will send me a job, but then the next day it's expired. So I'm like, send me another job that's open. Like, it's important for you to get a job before you apply, because all the things and all the strategies go to before you apply. So
man, no, that's some great information. So before we leave here, what is, like, the folks that's listening, what's the top 3 things they should do in regards to their resume?
Yeah. One, update it. Okay. So make sure that it's current. Make sure that it's up to date. Your most current position. I also get people who ask me if they should put their business, if they have a side business on there. I'm like, yo, that's completely up to you. Honestly, if you're, for example, in media and your business is about media, put it on it like it's a value add, because all of the words is going to mirror. But if your side business is braiding hair and you're a coder, right? It's a little bit of a mixed match, right? So let's just keep that off for now, until you're ready to go and transition. So one is keep it up to date. Two is if you have the word objective statement on your resume, remove it. It's understood. Your objective is to get a job, right? What you want to do is replace that with a qualification summary. So it's like the trailer to your resume. So, before the movie come out, if they want to keep reading, like we're competing with 7.8 seconds. So compel me to want to read further. Similar like social media. Some stuff you're going to stop, you're going to read. Some stuff you're going to scroll by. Make me stop. Make my eyes stop on your resume. So you do that with a nice, well-written qualification summary. So do that.
How long should that summary be?
No more than like 4 sentences.
Okay.
So yeah. And the other one is list out a skill section. So a lot of people list out like 2 or 3 or 4 skills or just core competencies. Nope. We are playing a word game against the algorithm. We're trying to get you a higher percent match. So you should have at least 25 to 30 skills listed, and you can do the technical, the hard skills, any software, but also some of the soft skills. So the technical, the hard skills, some softwares, and then also any soft skills you might have. So if they say, we want to, executive leadership, like, cool, that's a soft skill, but you can add it in there. So that's my 3 pieces of advice. So make sure that it's current. Replace any objective statement with a fire qualification summary, and skills,
man. Career coach Marcell, we appreciate you, man.
Yep.
Thanks for dropping some knowledge, some gems. And last question: What industry did you see people getting the most out of their salary?
Oh, so tech, but that's easy.
Okay.
But it makes sense. Is where the world is going right now. But I've seen, honestly, so the most is tech, but I also work with a person who moved on. She's in education, like has a master in education, and moved into like the DEI space. This is funny. She commented, I did a post like, oh, this is what my clients made and everything else. She responded like, I forgot to tell you, I got a 50K increase.
Oh, wow.
And relocation.
Wow. In the DI space, right? I need that.
So cool. This is somebody who traditionally was in educate, like literally worked in schools, like dean of students, and like all her public out, like all of her experience was education based. It was not corporate. It was not, but she ended up being like the chief diversity, equity, and inclusion officer for organization.
Wow.
Which is, so don't tell, like, it's about positioning.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, I don't have experience. How are you positioned?
Yeah. How you position
it's a positioning game.
Wow.
Yep. So,
dope.
So I've also did that. I worked with like a high school counselor as well. She ended up getting, I don't know her salary delta, but she was like very grateful in one of her testimonials. Like, yo, hey, Marcell, because her job was going away. She needs to do something before the school year ended and everything else. She was like, yo, this came at a perfect time. I didn't know what I was going to do. She did get an increase in salary. I just don't know the number off the top of my head. She's like, yo, I'm just extremely grateful because like, yo, I'm able to go better position myself in life after this. So that, if you say, hey, Marcell, what are you the most proud of? Is it's hearing stories like, I had to
change people's lives, literally.
Like I asked for it. I'm like, look, if I would have graduated college, like what would I be able to do with extra 20K? Or even now. 10. Look,
right.
Exactly. So it's like, yo, we talk about the wealth gap. We talk about, because most of my clients are mostly like, I'm at like 95% Black people. So BIPOC. So that's the population. It's about split between men and women. But honestly, like it's already a pay gap, right, between men and women. There's also like the racial wealth gap. So if I'm helping people like advocate for an equitable salary or even go beyond, like, yo, we trying to change lives, right?
Yeah.
So imagine what that'll do for you, for your family, for your loved ones, if you're able to, go like, you don't need no more school, no more education. That's my thing. You don't need another certificate. Now, it's a way to creatively get more certificates if you're trying to change industries. Like that makes sense. But like you got all the skills in you already to command a higher salary. How do we go do it?
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
That's dope. No, that's great. Yep. And folks too, like in certain industries, you don't necessarily have to be that technical. Well, I'll say this. So like for instance, if you're trying to get in tech, you don't have to be the coder. You could be the marketing, the HR, the whatever. Be the project manager, right? Product, manager or whatever. You can be in that space and not to have an actual, coding degree or computer science degree or something like that. So that's why I wanted to ask, like, what industries do you see? And then and that was a great story about, being working in education and then being chief diversity. Like you never think that, but like you said, it's positioning. So
it's all about positioning.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you, man. And I don't know if we're gonna put this on, but you need a podcast, dude. You need a podcast. You just dropped so much knowledge, man.
Yeah, cool.
So
alrighty, we'll think about it. We'll
chop
table
this up.
It. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dude.
I'm cool. There's no like confidentiality thing, but I always ask my clients are they okay with me before I post something, or if you see any of my like IG at Pro Developed, go check me out. All the stuff like the stuff is like blocked out. Like, hey Marcell, I'm so grateful. I'm like, cool. You don't need to know their name.
Right.
Because I also understand like it's one of those things. I'm not a lawyer, so it's not like we're not bound by confidentiality.
And when people know, like you just made an extra 50,000, he's like, oh, he got money.
Up.
Or she got money.
Inbox like what? It's a ton of stories. I think I'm over 200 clients now, so it's just like
200 episodes,
bro. 200 episodes.
That's 200 episodes. You could do like man. This is I'm gonna take this part out, but like that's 200 episodes. You could talk about certain clients and certain client stories, and then maybe give a tip. Like, okay, this is what I did for this client. This is what you could do as well too, man.
Would you do that per like industry? Like, yo,
you could do industry.
Like, hey, because I help somebody else. People be. So this is my thing. When I be helping people, I'm like, so one of my clients, because I put a call out like, yo, cool. They'll tell me whatever. I do it like once a year. I probably need to get better at that. He 36K. He's here. Because that's the other thing too. That's the misnomer. Like, hey, I need to move. I need to go move at home. I'm like, no,
you work from home. You work from anywhere.
And he's in HR. He's in talent acquisition. His job, he's looking at people's resumes. He's sourcing people. Like he worked for like a staffing company. So he knows what to do. But he was like, you know what? I'm trying to go for this other position. He was like, I'm gonna hire you, Marcell. Cool. 36K. Like he's still here in Milwaukee. Like, so from wherever he was making 36K more, which is like
crazy.
Come on now. Like he ain't have to move to Chicago. He ain't have to, none of that stuff. It's just like, no, you can, it's money right here.
It is.
I just got to tap in.
And the standard of living is not bad here in Milwaukee. Like you can find a nice spot and still be successful with the job increase. No, I'm definitely going to hire you as well too. Cause I've been looking at the Web3 space and I've been like, definitely got to move over there. Cause they talking about 100K here and there. And on top of me in wanting to be in that Web3 space. So yeah. So we'll see, but that
you got that's 200 episodes, but it's okay, cool. I thrive more off of because I feel like we're just talking.
Yeah,
but I guess I have to. I mean, I guess you've seen some of my videos. I guess I do with that, but I
was thinking about that.
It'll be. I need a time limit, like 12 minutes or 12.
We can do that. That's 5
minutes with like very very because. Yo, I'm just like but 200.
I can see cool. If you have a co-host. Because I was thinking, I was in my brain, because my producer has always on. I'm like, this man got knowledge. And all he needs is just another co-host to kind of pull it out. Because I don't think you would feel comfortable just doing it by yourself, even though you can.
I'm fine with it. If we just talk about like, just like that narrative of like customer stories, like, yo, I wouldn't say their names, right?
Yeah.
I'll just say whatever. Because I keep everybody's resume, right? So it's just, boom, hey, I don't know if they had a result or whatever. I can probably focus on the people that actually responded to all my surveys to just go. So that number is probably, I don't remember that number of people, but I can just talk about, what industry they're in, this, and that, maybe some tips. But I think I'm trying to figure out the interest factor, right? So what would that be? Would it be the tips that I'm telling people? Is that why they're tuning in? Is it the stories? Because it's like Ambitious MKE store, like we can get. I know people want to know because it's always Milwaukee already has that reputation of it's not a lot going on.
Right.
I have to leave. I'm like, no, it's a bunch of ambitious people here. They just all hit it. You just got to go find them. Like, or they just need to have more visibility. So that's why Ambitious it's a whole visibility campaign. It's like, be here, be visible. Like we out, we exist. So I think that's my thing. I'm trying to figure out the draw, even though I know, like, I don't know, but I know I'm not my own customer.
Yeah,
like, for real. So it's just like, so I'm trying to figure out the angle. So that's why I was thinking unconventional career advice, right? Because it's like, okay, cool. Like, what is something I haven't thought of, right? Or what is he gonna talk about? Like, so I think it's an intrigue factor.
I think people would be interesting because people are always looking to better themselves. Like I say, I think about Earn Your Leisure. Like, yeah, they have the guest on. The draw now is the guest, and they have the people coming in and talking about X, Y, and Z. But overall, it's always a topic. So like, their topic might be real estate. The topic might be stock market. Might be crypto. Might be this, and that's just the overall topic. Same thing for you, where it could be the topic is let's talk about skill sets. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And then you could talk about skill sets. Here are the top skills that you should put on your resume. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe for a certain industry. And then you'll pull that story out. I got an example. So you have an example of I had a client. She worked in this industry. Now, once we added her skills, she making, $50,000 more. Like you throw out $50,000 more, and she used to work here. But someone will be like, wait, I work in education too. I could be achieved, and now you got somebody that's like, now they're knocking on your door. Like, and then of course you tell me where they can come and reach out to you. Now you got clients coming in just from the podcast and just telling the story, but you also giving them value as well too. So maybe somebody doesn't want to go to you, but they were like, oh wait, I didn't think about putting this skill on my resume. But now they're going to keep tuning in because now they're like trying to build their resume through your podcast. And then at the end of the day, sometimes like they doing it by themselves. They don't have the expertise that you do. They're like, well, I got to call you.
What's so funny, man, you mentioned that. I ain't gonna call her name out, but I also need to get her testimonial. She was like, hey, so I seen her at the Sherman Phoenix. Hey, so based on your website and your content, she's like, I followed all that. She's in education. She's like, I had a $10,000 increase. I was like, where's my testimonial?
Right. Cool, exactly.
So I'm like, yo, clearly what I'm saying is working.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to. And that's why I do the free resume route. Like, honestly, like, I understand, like, we're all in different situations. I just don't have the bandwidth to do it for free anymore.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But if we want to go, it's not going to take me more than 15 minutes to go to do. I already got like a pre-drafted response because resumes are typically, I see the same things. It's real simple. But like I look at it, I got my template or whatever. I just remove the stuff that don't apply, give a little bit more advice and everything, and then send it back. So it don't take more than 15 minutes on my day. So I don't mind doing the free resume reviews because you can't afford it. Cool. I still want you to go win.
Right. You still want you to win.
Right. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to plan that out.
Plan that out, man. And just knock that out.
That's weird. That's what I heard too. That's when when I was at UWM recording, talking to the high school students, he said that too. He's like, you can tell you have a lot of knowledge.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, cool. But I'm like, yeah, I also been like doing this for a minute. Like, cool. Yeah. Plus I'm also like a corporate recruiter for like GE. So like, cool. I done seen both sides. And I done used my own methods. I done seen other people get it. Like I done recruited people. Yes. Like, yo, I done. And I just haven't. Yeah. So
that thought, we'll go ahead and we won't give them all the sauce. So we appreciate you all for tuning in and thank you for listening to Mogul Talk Podcast. We'll see you next time.